Hello everyone. Today we are going to see lecture number 8 and we have started unit number 1 according to your syllabus. Okay. So the name of our unit is Statistical Description of System of Particles. So in the last classes we have covered this unit. So if you can see there are two topics: equation of state of FD and Bose-Einstein gases, and MB statistics as a limiting case of Bose-Einstein FD statistics. Only these two topics we have not covered. So in this MB statistics as a limiting case of Bose-Einstein and FD statistics, that is the same as this quantum statistics in the classical limit. So you remember when you did this derivation in the classical limit, we reached for this Bose-Einstein and FD as MB. So that it means the same thing, and the only thing that remains is equations of state of FD and Bose-Einstein gases. To understand this, you need to understand grand canonical and another ensembles. So once we finish this topic, then I will just brush up on this one. So other than that, we have finished the unit 2. Okay, so today we will be starting this unit, that is introduction to the statistical description, that is your unit 1. So let's start that. So this initially the whole thing that we are going to discuss today, I have written it in the form of notes. Okay, so there is not much equation or anything for today's lecture, but you have to understand certain ideas. So this one is the same thing as your textbook. So you can see this is the unit 2 in your textbook. So this unit 2 until here, until I will show you, yes, until today we are going to cover until the section 2.4 probability calculations, that is here till probability. So we start from here today and we will cover till probability calculations today. Okay, so the whole thing that is in this textbook, I have just written the important points in my note. So when you want to study, you can just go through this. You don't have to read the whole thing. I mean, that's up to you. If you want to read, you can read, but for exam point of view, you can just use the notes that I have written here. So I'm just going to explain to you with the textbook. So you can see the textbook. Okay, so today we will start. Yeah. Okay, so this is a statistical description of a system of particles. So what we are going to do, and so what is the aim of statistical mechanics, is that you want to describe the macroscopic properties of certain systems. That means it contains large number of particles like gases or anything by certain probability theories. Okay, so how we are going to do that, that is what we are covering in this unit. So this I am going to explain to you, okay, using the two dice. So right now I have only two with me. So now if this is my system, you can imagine that this is my system and I have only two particles like that. So but in reality you have a system which has so many number of particles. So how do you predict anything, the outcome of this, like what will be its energy at a state in one state, or what is the probability of finding some particles in some state, these kind of things, how can you predict? So we need to create some basic postulates or formulations so that out of probabilities you can find out these kind of things. So there are some basic things. One is that can you see a specification of the state of the system? So you have to specify the state of the system, okay, and then there is a statistical ensemble, and then basic postulate about priori possibilities, probability calculations. So these are the some basic steps required to analyze the system. So now let's say if this is your system, this I have two dice and this is your system. So now what is this? First is specification of the state of the system. So what is specification of the state of system? So I'm just throwing this two dice. So now the state of the system is, I have first dice, it has 4 on top, and another second dice also has 4 on top. So my state of the system is this one is one has 4 on top and another has 4 on top after my first throw. So this is the state of my system. Okay, but you think about this. Now there are 2 ways to come to the conclusion that I will get 4 on top for each dices. There is the first way is that I know my initial starting velocity, I know the mass of this system, I know the angle at which I am going to throw. So through classical mechanics, I can predict that this 2 can bring 4 on top if I throw in this way. If I know my initial velocity, I know the time which I am starting, and what else? I know the mass, I know the angle at which I am throwing. All these things, if I have a prior knowledge, then I can predict that I can get 4 on top. But in reality, we'll never have such kind of things in our hand. So what is the other way to predict that I will get 4 on top? Other ways to predict is that I can throw this maybe 100 or 200 times. So if I throw this 100 or 200 times, then I can say that what is the probability of finding 4 on top? How many times did I find 4 on top? So that number I can get. So with that I can make a theory like that. So that is, so now if I throw this 100 times, so each time now I just threw this, so let's say I threw this once, so now I got one is 3 and another one is 2. So if I write, I don't know whether you can see this here. Okay, so for example, so I wrote, so now I threw once, so then what happened? So first throw, what did I get? I got dice 1 and dice 2. Okay, so dice 1 is 1 and another one is 3. And my second throw, what did I get? I got 5. Second throw, I got 5 and 2. My third throw, what did I get? Third throw, I got 1 and 3. So like this, so many possibilities are there. So all of these, so I make 100th throw. Okay, and then I get some 6 and 7. So this is called my statistical ensemble. Okay, so I throw this so many times, but I try to throw almost with the same velocity or almost the same way I'm throwing. I don't throw very hard or like that. So just in this, I try to bring in the same initial conditions, and then I try to make a a set of values. So from this there will be some probability of what will be the number that is coming, like that. So that is my this statistical ensemble. So from this I can find out. So this is written here, that is, instead of focusing our attention on a single experiment, we consider an ensemble consisting of many such experiments, all carried out under similar conditions, where 10 dice are thrown up from the cup. The outcome of each experiment will in general be different, but we can ask for the probability of occurrence of a particular outcome. So that is, we can determine the fraction of cases which are characterized by a particular final state of the dice. So that is what I just explained to you now. Okay, then this is most important, that is what basic postulate about a priori probabilities. What is that? So from this throwing of the dice, what we understand is that anything can have equal probability. So there is an equal probability of me getting 4 on both sides, and there is an equal probability of me getting 1, 6 and 1. So these two probabilities are equal. So there is a 50% chance, like in the case of a coin, there is a 50% chance of getting heads or 50% chance of getting tails. So the probability with which I can get 1 and 3 is the same as the probability which I can get 4 and 3. So that is the meaning of basic postulate about a priori probability. We say that the probability of getting any combination is equal. So that is this fact. Okay, and then we have the probability calculator. So these are the 4 major steps. So we will see each step one by one. So now specification of the state of the system. So we saw the specification of the state of this system, that is our dice. So the state of system is after throwing, one dice has 3 on top, another die has 4 on top. So now in the case of real particles, how I can describe? The system can then be described by a wave function. So we have to use quantum mechanics to describe all the wave functions. So using a wave function psi of q1 dot 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 qf, which is a function of some set of f coordinate. So, and number, what is this f? Saying f is the number of degrees of freedom of the system. So a particular quantum state. So this is the state of this system. What is the state? This is our system. The two dies are our system, and the final state of it right now is 3 and 4. So just like that, a particular quantum state of the system is then specified by giving the values of some set of f quantum numbers. So if these two are particles, the quantum numbers are 3 and 4. So like that. So by specifying a set of f quantum numbers, we can specify the state of the system. Okay. So the description is complete. Since psi is thus specified at any time t, equations of motion of quantum mechanics allow prediction of psi at any other time. So that what is saying that if we can predict the state of the system using a wave function at any time t, then at any other time t also, using the same equation, we can predict how the state will be, how the system, what is the final state it can have. So this we can predict using this. That is what this is saying. So these examples you can go through. It is these black boxes are examples, so you can easily understand these examples. So now we can just see the case of a classical system. So classical system always you can describe by two things. What is that? Momentum. You can describe by momentum p and its position x. Here they have taken it as q. Okay, so you can describe the classical case by momentum p and position q. So if you draw a graph between momentum p and position q, this is called the phase space. Even though you cannot imagine it, remember we drew k space. Just like that, this is another space called phase space, where momentum is in the y-axis and position is in the x-axis. So you can put any point for the particle's position and its momentum in this space, and you can describe by that. So if you want to exactly describe the position of this, so you are going to divide this graph into small squares, just like you have your graph paper. So what you're going to divide as, you're going to divide this minimum length as delta q here and minimum length here as delta p. Okay, so that phase space is then subdivided into small cells of equal size and of two-dimensional volume, that is area. That delta p times delta q is h naught, where h naught is some small constant having dimensions of angular momentum. So from this there is one interesting case that arises. What is that? That is the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. What is that? What does it say? It says that delta q times delta p, what we just saw here, is greater than or equal to h cut, where h cut is the Planck's constant, that is h divided by 2 pi. So the subdivision of the phase space into cells of volume less than h cut is really physically meaningless. Okay, so means what? If this division we have made here, so this cannot be less than h cut. If you make it smaller than h cut, that means it is physically meaningless. That means what? You cannot specify the momentum as well as the position of a particle within the accuracy of h cut. Okay, so less than h cut by you cannot divide this further smaller. So that is a Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. That means saying that you cannot find the position or the momentum of the particle at the same time. So from this you can arrive at that. So so this is about the classical system. So so in a classical system you can specify the state of a system on this graph. So but you cannot subdivide this delta q less than h cut. That means it's meaningless. It doesn't have any meaning more than that. So that is a minimum that you can subdivide this graph into. But the state of a system you can specify using this graph. That is a classical way. Okay. Okay, so now next we have our statistical ensemble. So that we already saw what is our statistical ensemble. So many times we throw, and then state of all that together is called the statistical ensemble. Okay. So from that you can just check out the main point. The system can then only be in any of its states which are compatible with the available information about the system. These states are called the states accessible to the system. Okay, so in this example, so you can consider this example they have taken here. Consider a system of 3 fixed particles, each having spin half, so that each spin can point either up or down. So you have 3 particles and it can have 3 spins. Okay, so you have so it can be up, all up spins, or 2 up, 1 down, like that. So there are so many combinations if you have just 3 particles having plus or minus half. Okay, it can be plus half or minus half, like that. 3 particles are there, so it can be either 3 plus or 3 minus or anything in between, like that. So if the magnetic moment is, each one has mu, then this is what is that, this is 3 mu, this is mu, and here it will be minus mu because of the negative sign, and this will be minus 3 mu, and total energy is given by these formulas. So only these states it can have, this particles can have. And what else can you say about that? Now suppose in this previous example of system consisting of 3 spins, total energy of the system, so if you have the one information that total energy of the system is only minus mu h, then we know that the system exists only in these 3 states. Can you understand? So if you have what prior knowledge before this, what we had, we knew only that we have a system having 3 magnetic quantum numbers. So you have 3 particles only with these spins, like that. But if you have one more information that your total energy is minus mu h, then you know that the system has to exist in these 3 states. So like this we can narrow down and we can come to predict the final state of the system. So just using the available information that we have. So that is what this is saying. So using the statistical ensemble. So this is our statistical ensemble. This is a total number of possible ways that it can be. So this is our statistical ensemble, and then apply whatever information that you have. Then you know, this only it can exist like this. And then if you have again one more information, then you know you can finally pinpoint the state of the system which it can be in. Okay, so that is your statistical ensemble. Then you have your basic postulates. So if you come to see the basic postulates, that is the thing that we are saying that we have equal probability. Okay, there is something called as equal probability. What is a basic postulate? That is that we saw here. What is that? Yeah, a priori possibilities, about a priori possibilities. That what is this? This is nothing but saying that there is equal chance of like this dice. Then when we threw, there is equal chance that it can be 2 and 3 as equal as it can be 2 and 2. This is the only thing. So that this is finally summarized. An isolated system in equilibrium is likely to be in any of its accessible states. Okay, so it can be in any of its accessible state when it is in equilibrium. Okay, and this fundamental postulate is eminently reasonable and certainly does not contradict any laws of mechanics. Okay. So here also there are examples which you can see, so that you can read through these examples. So it's nothing much. So now if you see, this particular example is quite interesting. So that is a case of one-dimensional harmonic oscillator. So it has mass m and spring constant k. Total energy of the oscillator is given by p square by 2m plus half kx square. So this is its kinetic energy and potential energy. So then if you draw, so if this is your momentum space or phase space, so you have your p P and you have your position X. Okay, so this equation, what will it give? It gives this parabolic equation, parabolic curve. So if you draw, if you want to find the number of states between, this is your energy. So if you want to find the number of states between E and E plus D, then so just another next curve if you draw. So these are the possible number of states that are allowed in this phase space. So from this you can find out like that. So then so you have these equations. So if you have X is equal to A cos omega t plus phi, and P, what is P? P is momentum. Momentum is mx dot, is given by this equation. Okay, so now you have your energy. You substitute all this back into your previous this energy equation. Then what will you get? You will get then equation like this, and you finally end up with some kind of a constant. So this constant and above relation determines amplitude A in terms of energy. But what is unknown here is that phase angle. We don't know what is the angle that it can assume. Any angle it can be assuming. Okay, that is still arbitrary. So that is its initial condition. We don't know where it will start, whether it will start here or whether it will start here, like that. So but the thing about this is that where is the maximum x? Maximum x is this position. Okay, so when is it that the maximum height, it slows down to conserve the energy. And then what will happen when it is at minimum distance from the center? It speeds up. So when it is at the total maximum amplitude, that is where the particle spends most of the time. So we can say that the probability of finding the particle is maximum at these ends where x is maximum, and the probability of finding the particle, see this is black covered portion, that is minimum at this point where x is less, minimum. Okay, so amplitude is minimum, that time is where your probability of finding the particle is minimum. Amplitude is maximum, probability of finding the particle is maximum. So this is the dx. If you see dx here, so it is maximum here, and if you see dx here, it is minimum. Okay, so so then so that is this example. So then now so another condition is that no matter what initial conditions, we don't know what is the initial condition. Initial condition may be an isolated system left to itself will ultimately attain a final equilibrium situation. So in that, what is that final equilibrium situation? In which it is equally likely to be found in any one of its accessible states. What is accessible state? Accessible state, like you saw here. Yeah, so this we saw, this is our accessible state. It can be any of these states. It can be either this or this or this. And if you know that final initial condition that you have only this much energy, then it has accessible state is only this much. So once you leave a system to itself, then finally it will attain an equilibrium, and in that equilibrium it will be in any one of these accessible states. That is what it is finally they are saying here. Okay, so then again you can read on all these examples that is in the black boxes. So finally we come to our probability calculation. Okay, so we can say that omega E denote the total number of states of the system in this range. Okay, and suppose there are among these states a certain number of omega EYK of states for which some parameter y of the system assumes value yk. So you have total number of states is omega E, and there is another certain number of omega EYK states for which the parameter y of the system assumes value yk. That means there will be this state of the system where the pressure is this value or temperature is this. Yk can be pressure or temperature or volume, anything. So like the parameter might be magnetic moment of system or pressure exerted by system, anything it can be this yk. So it assumes a certain value. Then if the possible values of y which can assume k it can be continuous or it can be discrete. Means this k can be a continuous value or it can be discrete, or meaning it can be quantized. So it can be either of that. So what is our fundamental postulate? That a priori possibilities. Our fundamental postulate tells us that among the states accessible to system, that is among omega e states which satisfy the condition that energy of the system lies in the specified range, all the states are equally likely to occur in our ensemble. So this is what we have been seeing till now. Okay, so this is the underlined part. So this, using this, we can proceed. How we are proceeding? Hence we can write simply for the probability. So what the probability that this occurs can be written as what? All are equally probable. So you can just divide by the total number of states. The probability that this state occur can be given by the probability is equal to this one divided by the total number of states. So what you can do? Yeah. So, okay, so if you want to see like an example, so if you flip a coin, so we are going to say that there is a 50% chance of getting heads or tails. So, yeah, there's a 50% chance of getting heads or tails. Then it can be said that, so I can divide by 1 by 2. Okay, so that is 50%. So 1, it is heads or tails. So chances that I'm getting heads is divided by the total number of states. What is that? 2. So there is a 50% chance of getting either heads or tails. That is this probability. And another thing also we can write, what is that? Also, to calculate the mean value of the parameter y for the system, we simply take the average over systems in the ensemble. So to find out the value of state with yk parameter, what you have to do? You already have the probability, just multiply by the yk, then you will have the total average value of system with yk parameter. So this is a thing about probability calculation. So using this, now we will proceed. Okay, so this much for today's lecture. Thank you.